Hi, it says we're live. I don't believe it though.
Well, we may be live, but not on YouTube yet.
Yeah, I don't see us on YouTube. Hi, if you're on, I still see us. Just the it happened. I wonder how that what the actual lag time from the UK to the US is. We should count the seconds. Hey,
Well,
Spirit Junkie. I see Spirit Junkie, but do I see us? No.
um, there's a lag just between StreamYard and YouTube.
Right. It's a long one. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So, it so how are you today, Daniel?
I'm doing all right. It's the first day of fall,
Happy fall, y'all.
and it actually turned that way. Yesterday was like 92. Today's 68.
Oh my God. I see Renee Apple Martini. Hey, Joe Robert. Working and lurking. Honey, I like it. I like it. um, yeah, you said it was 68 today?
Yes. Yeah, it's supposed to be in the 60s the next couple days and then jump up to 78
Oh,
and be
but
back
78's way better
in
than
the 70s. Oh,
90.
yeah, it's better than the 90s. It was the humidity. For
Oh,
2 or 3 days, the humidity came in with the 90s, which I knew was gonna happen.
it's, yeah.
But it's lovely today. I'm actually even after I do some stuff, I think I'm gonna mow.
Uh, John Roberts says 68 there too. And yes, Spirit Junkie. Happy fall, y'all. Happy autumn. So I like to say here in the UK. A windy. I see. I like windy. I do.
Yeah, it is windy because see, even at 68, if I go out and mow, I'm still gonna be angry because it's kinda hot.
Because you have to
But
mow.
with the air blowing, it should be okay. We'll see. I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can mow some groundhogs.
They run away from you when you step out the door. Well, not really.
They're getting very brave. The Dolores and I have this conversation about these stupid groundhogs I have living underneath Tacky Studio, and one of them's bigger than my dog. I mean, it is big. So I I was out there, and it was at the edge of the house by the hole, and so I started walking, and it just stood there until I got really close, and it went down in the hole, and then it came back up to look at me. Well, I found a walnut. So I went over the hole and I threw it down in there.
That'll learn you.
Eat this, you rodent.
Well, I'm just surprised they haven't started knocking on your door and saying knock, 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 and you're like, hello. And they're like, hi, I'd like to talk to you about Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior.
Give them time.
Have those suits on. You're like, yeah, no, not today. Will it make you go away? um, yes, today here in the UK, it was so it's been like in the mid 60s, 67, 68, and then today it rained a little while ago. It rained. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 59 for the high, and then
Chili.
it does. And all this weekend it's supposed to be nice, sunny, bright, but like the high is 55 all weekend long. Yes, I like it because I might go somewhere Saturday morning. So yeah, it'll be nice and cool. Um, so how many people have? 7 people in here. I want to kind of wait a minute because this is I before I talk about this story because it's quite interesting. Scandalo. It's really good. So we'll wait till a few more people come in because I want to have to go back over what I'm talking about and say the words that I need to say. But yes, I'm happy for fall. I'm going to do all the fall things. October 1st here, the pumpkin patch opens. Yes. So I'm going to go pumpkin picking. When they leave my house, they sorry they knocked on your door. They don't do that here anymore. Hey, Monica.
Oh, they'll be starting back up.
Yeah, because it's cool now.
Well, they hadn't been going out because of the pandemic.
Oh,
But now their leaders have said, go out.
that pandemic's over. Go out.
Yes. So they'll be back.
We used to get them here. People knock on the door and wanting to tell me about Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And I was like, I appreciate that you're that devoted to your religion, but I'm honestly not that interested. But thank you for stopping by. And they would go, oh, can we leave you some reading material? I'm like, sure. Recycle bin.
I don't answer my door.
Well, I mean, I just feel like, well, I thought it was my neighbor the first time because no one ever knocks on my dang door. And I'm like, well, it must be my neighbor. And I opened it and I was like, God, busted. You know what I mean?
See,
I got busted.
I wouldn't even answer my door for a neighbor.
Well, maybe not your neighbor.
Especially for a neighbor.
Well, my neighbors are nice. So, in fact, one of them came to the house yesterday. I had let Lola out back, and just for her little, because she has to have a parent or guardian with her at all times when she goes outside to play. So I had let her out, and I was out there, but I think I like turned my back for 5 minutes, and my neighbor comes to the door and goes, "Is Lola okay? I saw her outside, and you weren't yelling for her." I said, "Oh," and then but by the time I went to go look, she was already in the backyard, like busted. So, which is nice because my neighbor realized that why was Lola out there without, mommy? So, she was trying to be cute, but she got busted. She sure did. Mm-hmm. I invited them in for a special treat. He's like, all right. So today I'm going to talk about an interesting story that I actually told Daniel I read about like 6 or 7 months ago. It was one of those things where you're on the internet, it's late at night, and you want something to read because you can't go to sleep. And I clicked on this story and I read it and I was like, It was interesting, but I just thought, this sounds whack. This doesn't sound true. Then a couple of weeks ago, but last 2 weeks ago, but when we had our special news bulletin that happened, I was going to do it then. And I just read about it that week. And what it was, now, before I get started, all the information and comments in this story are alleged. I am not accusing anybody of anything that's alleged. And don't come for me. NBC put this story out. Okay. So everything in it, but so I'm not going to go through and say alleged through everything I read, but everything in this story is alleged. So please don't send your lawyers after me. Well, just saying. I need to go ahead and put that out there. So
this is for entertainment purposes only.
Yes. Please do not come for me. Okay. So it's a candy scandal.
Well, how sweet is that?
How sweet it is. The Candyman can, but you can't because this is a situation. So let me give you a little backstory. So in London, the capital, there is obviously a very famous street called Oxford Street, which you all know, one of the most famous streets you've ever heard of. The real estate on there is super expensive, probably some of the most expensive real estate in Europe. It is expensive to have any shop, store, whatnot, anything on Oxford Street. And it's especially number 363 Oxford Street, which was the home of HMV Records, which HMV stands for His Master's Voice. So HMV was a flagship store. The one on Oxford Street was a flagship store where the Beatles launched their first album. Iconic, right? Iconic street, iconic building, iconic buildings all up and down Oxford Street. And obviously, with your fancy stores and whatnot, you're going to have the tacky souvenir shops peppered around for the tourist, which is where anywhere you go, right? Anywhere you go, where like in New York or anywhere with a big street like that, San Francisco, you're going to have the tacky souvenir shops. It's expected. However, to that landmark today, that store is now the home of, is it called Candy World? Candy World is a shop or a chain of stores that sells American candy. And it's apparently, American candy is a big thing. Here's why. Because people are doing TikToks about, in the UK, about American candy and doing the taste test and trying it out. So, American Candy. Now they sell like the Twinkies, the Cheetos, all the American Hershey's. They even sell little trinkets, ear pods, everything that you can think of, vapes. So Candy World is just selling all the crap. I love American Candy. I do miss it. And I do sometimes shop for it on the internet. But I don't think if I was going to go to London to visit London, I would stop in Candy World that sells American products. I'd be like going to Cadbury World. Okay, that's where I'd be going. So, but the thing about this is that it's like inside the store is really shabby. It plays really loud music. It's like kind of like garish. And you have to remember the rent here is very expensive. You walk in, none of the candy has prices on it. And a lot of times when you do ask for it, the prices, they're like, oh, that pack of Hershey's Kisses is 12 pounds. What? And, and a lot of, or that box of Pop-Tarts is, 13 pounds. Now, I know the import duties are quite high, but I could get that cheaper on Amazon. Why would I walk into Candy World? So here's the thing. And here, the thing is, officials are confused and property experts are excused as to what are surprised and don't understand why these stores are popping up in such, expensive locations and such expensive real estate. And alleged criminal perpetrators hiding in plain sight. Alleged. We don't know. No one knows. But to find out what's going on, you have to look past the Jolly Ranchers, the out-of-date Twinkies to find out why this is happening. And it's not just one store. There are stores all along Oxford Street. All of them have different names, but the big one is Candy World. And they all sell American candy, vapes, all the trash. So the thing is, the people who own the building, that building is the City of London. But the City of London leases out the buildings to other people. So people buy leases, and I mean, they're like 1,000-year leases. Honestly, it's exactly how it works. It's some old law in England. Don't know. Don't ask me. I ain't a lawyer. And I'm not a real estate expert. But their leases are very long. And a lot of times these companies are somewhere outside the UK, like in Hong Kong or in other countries. The owners don't live in the UK. They just lease the building and they rent it out. Now, if your building is empty, you have to pay taxes on it. But and because it's hard to fill these expensive buildings, the leaseholders will rent them to anybody. They don't even do any quality checks, won't do any background checks. We'll just lease it to you. You want to rent this? Go right ahead. So what's happening is that the taxes aren't being paid. And they can't figure out who owns the actual Candy World because the actual Candy World business has had 3 different registries in that name, registered in that name 3 different times and have 3 different addresses in 3 months. So they've moved constantly. So they can't catch them. So, which is an issue because all those taxes are not being paid. But I'm like, in a way, now this is just me conspiracy theorying, alleged. I feel like it has to be more than just avoiding taxes. Like, why set up shop in this big? Now, there was some speculation about, I don't want to say the word, I'll say coin cleaning. Some coin cleaning going on, if you know what I mean. But in plain sight, because it's easy. Girl, the candy cartel, exactly. It's easy to, you could say it was that situation hiding in plain sight, but they're not selling a lot. The places are empty of customers. It's like you get a few stragglers walk in to buy a few things, but they're not like rammed. It's like the M&M store, which is rammed full of people when you go to that. This is just kind of empty. So what's happening? What is going on at Candy World? Why are they there? And I just found it fascinating because it's trying to navigate the leaseholdership, which is very opaque in England, and trying to navigate that to find out who the hell actually we know the person renting the place is responsible for the taxes, but if you can't find them, then you then go to the leaseholder. If you can't find them, who's paying the taxes? And it's just an interesting story. I found it interesting. It probably sounds boring to everybody now, but I found it interesting that you're in some of the best, most expensive real estate in the capital in England, in London, and you have a store devoid of customers. How are you making money? How are you keeping it alive? What is going on? It makes you go, huh? It does. It makes me wonder why.
So if they're not paying taxes, couldn't the city say you voided your lease, so we're shutting you down?
Well, there are at least 8 million unpaid taxes across the whole street. Yes, the HMRC, which is Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, does get involved. And what they do is they go into these stores. We need to speak to the manager. Well, the manager's not here. They've gone in there and have confiscated like 100,000 pounds worth of counterfeit Willy Wonka bars. What? What is going on? What is happening in the Capitol? Hey, Val, what's happening? So what they do is they get really cheap candy bars and they buy these they buy these Willy Wonka wrappers on Amazon because you can buy them as party favors, the wrappers. Like, if you want to have a Willy Wonka themed party, you can buy, and they sell them as actual Wonka bars because Wonka's actually made here. And we actually have Wonka bars that are legit, but they're just selling like counterfeit Rolex watches in there, counterfeit everything. It's more than just a candy store, y'all. So it's just, and like I said, collecting taxes from them is difficult because they give shell company names. And so to try to track down these shell companies, they can't. And London's been, and this area has become known as the laundromat, alleged. they actually call it that, which I think is hilarious. But I mean, I could see if there was loads of people in the store and they were making hand over fist of money. People were coming in and spending money and money was trading hands. I could see that would be somewhat of a laundromat. But even officials don't know what's going on because they're like, there's no one in there. There's not like all this money trading hands. It's just a bizarre situation. And I kind of wanted to like talk about, because I wanted to go, yeah, counterfeit candy, Spirit. I don't know. I mean, what's the world come to when you have to fake a Willy Wonka bar? I mean, it's in a times now. I mean, it's just, like, are we that? Yeah. But a lot of the souvenir shops, obviously during the pandemic, closed because they weren't essential shops. So what they started doing is open up these candy stores and doing like mail order and, saying we have internet sales and people can come here and get essentials like Lucky Charms for $15, 15 pounds a box, I guess. I don't know. So something in buttermilk ain't clean. Something in buttermilk ain't clean. And I don't know what it is. And even the officials they're not quite sure. They know that it's tax avoidance for sure. But that can't be I mean, unless the leaseholders are like, yeah, don't care, not my problem. I lease it out. I get my, but they have to get their rent. So leaseholders have to get their rent from the people in the property. And so if they're not paying taxes, are they paying them rent? But if they're like, well, I have this in my portfolio, this Oxford Street, property, and I don't have to pay taxes on it because someone else is renting it out and they can't even find them. Leaseholders kind of in the clear to some degree. Do they think they are American and China? They don't know. Like I said, the leaseholders of these properties live all over the world. Some are, I don't know I know some are in Hong Kong. I know some might be in America. It's unlikely that, look, I mean, I just think it's Dutch dealings. I don't know. But why? What's the point? I mean, you can open anything to actually coin clean without, allegedly, without having a store that looks so obviously empty and will draw attention to you. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like, what is going on? I don't know. Any thoughts, Daniel?
No, because if they're thinking something's going on, why aren't they doing something about it?
Well, the only thing they have, like I said, the HMRC have gone in there and like did a raid, pretty much raided them for fake Rolexes, fake monkey bars, all the things. But I don't know
shut
if
them
they can close
down
them.
or just take the stuff.
They just take the stuff.
Why aren't they closing them down?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's some kind of legality. They have to wait to take them to court. They can stay open until they're found guilty. Unclear. I mean, they were guilty of counterfeit, but they could say, as the employees working there, they don't know. We don't know where the manager is. Here's Candy World's number, or here's their address. Well, then they go to look. When you look up a registered company, you can see, when they registered their business and where their home address is, where their business address is. This company, particularly alleged, has moved 3 times and is in 3 months. So I don't know why they don't just shut them down. Because they're not paying taxes. Then that means that, so like I said, the leaseholders will rent to anybody because they don't want to pay them taxes themselves. If then the leaseholder says, well, the renter should be paying the taxes, that's your problem with them. But listen, so the City of London is getting money because the leaseholder's paying the lease on the land that the City of London owns. So everybody's shady. All of them.
Well, I was just thinking, have they looked to see if there's any ties to any London government?
Well, I don't know which people. Well, the City of London owns the buildings, particularly owns number 363, Oxford Street. Now that is a true story. That's not alleged. They actually own that, and they own a lot of the buildings there. But what they do is they lease them out, and as long as the City of London, I suppose, gets their rent, HMRC ain't nothing to do with the City of London. HMRC got to go sort that out. Now, if I was the HMRC, I'd be like, you own it. You pay the taxes to the City of London. But it's just such a bizarre tale. And it just was really, it's just so strange. And it's just strange. I just found this whole story bizarre. And I just wanted what people thought. I mean, yeah, I think there's some dodgy dealings going on. I mean, what particularly, I'm unclear. I'm not sure. I know it's okay. We got tax avoidance. That's one. But you're not going to open so the leaseholder's like, hey, I don't have to pay taxes. That's up to the renter. But what's the renter gaining? What's the person who's opening Candy World gaining from? I mean, so there must be some kind of financial gain. Something's going on there.
Well, I don't see how the leaseholder could get out of it, because you would think it would be in their contract that, hey, you lease this, so you are responsible for the taxes, so no matter who is in it.
The way, well, I know that's what I would think, but I don't know. Again, I'm not a attorney. I'm not a solicitor here in the UK, and I'm not a expert on real estate either. So I don't know. Oh, it's definitely a shell game, Spirit. It's definitely a shell game. And that's the problem. The renters give shell corporations, so this is my corporation. And then when the HMRC go to, okay, well, you haven't paid taxes in months, so I'm going to come now to your oh, where's it at? Oh, wait, hang on. I can't find it.
I'm just saying.
It is weird.
It may not be from outside of the country. The call may be coming from within.
Yes. 100%.
Because, business people know how to be really, really shady, as we are finding out here in America.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me.
Just saying.
and this will kind of lead into other shady. What I guess I'm going into is this is just the tip of the iceberg of shadiness, and I don't mean just in the city of London. There's these places happen. It happened. They have stores in Manchester, and all the big Liverpool, like the major cities. It's everywhere, and it's like, can somebody just like now? I don't know what the situation is in Manchester, Liverpool. Like if the I don't know if the city of Manchester owned these buildings. They're probably privately owned. It's a little bit different because these buildings are in the street is historic. The city of London owns them. So here it is. Um, so the city of London accused by critics as being opaque and hiding and unaccountable. In 1923, it sold the property on a 2,000-year lease, effectively relinquishing all responsibility. In 2008, that leasehold was bought for $40 million by a Hong Kong firm domiciled in the British Virgin Island tax haven. So, okay, we have to go, sir. We have to go. Hold on. Okay. All right. So, did I get the other one? Yep. There we go. Okay. Sorry, y'all. We're back. And we're back. Hey, Jeannie. So, I should make somebody a moderator besides Daniel.
I don't have my phone with me and I can't.
Oh, that's okay. So it's just strange. It's just odd. It's just a strange thing, which leads me into other types of businesses, which are also questionable, allegedly. So, I just know for a fact that there's some shady dealings going on, and I don't want to. How do I say this? Car washes. Car washes, I feel like we have a lot of them here, like the hand car wash places. A lot of them. We have a lot of them here. I don't know if you guys have them over there. Hello? Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I was trying to get us up live on another thing, but it wasn't showing the chat because I was going to try to moderate. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. That's fine. They're gone now. They're done. They're done. They're gone. It's fine. I can handle it because I have another device here. So it just took me a minute to go like, what did they say? You know, it takes me a minute. So I just think there's a lot of, dodgy dealings. Yeah, you have the hand
corporations, a lot of huge corporations, well known.
Yeah,
have a lot of splinter shadow companies where they can do things. I'm just saying. I mean, it's a proven known thing.
Well, here's another thing. Today, our lovely Prime Minister Liz Fussy Truss decided. So the government had capped bankers just to get a certain amount, like bankers, actual but bank owners, like high up bankers, had capped their salaries. Now capped their bonuses because they were getting way like here's the banker and here's the people working in the bank. They removed that. It's now okay. It's okay now to give and I'm not saying these people don't deserve to get bonuses, but when your bonus, and especially at this time when we're now, some of the financial experts are saying that we're now in a recession in the UK. I'm like, you finally caught up, did you? Okay. Didn't I put you out? So yeah. So I just think that there's a lot of big, like you said, big corporations, big even in government, and I'm not trying to be all conspiracy theory, but if like Junkie said, well, Spirit Junkie says, did someone investigate those in power in 1923? Girl, no, they didn't. Not 1923, no, clearly. So I mean, it's concerning, and not just for this business. This is just one. This is one story in a probably a whole bunch of stories that we've just not read or we not privy to. I just found it bizarre. I found it odd. I found it strange. So I don't know. I just think that, well, and here's another prime example of shady by my government, by the government here. They just, because of the energy crisis, and we all know we're all in one, they've okayed fracking again here in the UK. They're allowing it to happen again. And they're like, well, we just can't be dependent on wind and, solar power and wave energy. And I'm like, we're going to have to, though. So it's like, oh, next we're going to bring back coal. Some Lord. And it's just that I think people, they say what they want you to believe, and then when it's time to come, they do something different. But to be fair to Liz Fussy Trust, she said she was going to do this, as she was still voted in by her peers. So there's that. So not to go political, it's just that I just want to kind of show the, like, I don't know, I guess examples of like dodgy business, dodgy government. So if these people in power are dodgy, how are they checking everybody else? Do you know what I mean? How are you checking folk if the folk who should be checking, and not the HMRC, I'm not saying the HMRC is dodgy, they're doing their job, or they're trying to do their job in regards to collecting taxes. But I just think that if the people who are supposed to check ain't checking themselves, how are they checking everyone else? Do you know what I mean? I find it,
Well, and whoever gives the biggest money gets overlooked the most. I mean, that's the way things are here. You have your lobbyists that go in, and whoever gives the most amount of money, they seem to be able to do what they want to.
Yeah, exactly, Spirit. You can't follow that. You can follow the money trail. They can't follow the money trail in a business called Candy World. You can't follow that money trail. How are you going to follow the money trail of someone who is allegedly 10 times bigger, 20 times bigger than Candy World, allegedly? I have to keep saying that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know so much about the lobbyists here. I don't know if that's a thing here, because I'm not really, I know how Parliament works, but I don't know, but it probably is. Because, or you have backbenchers in Parliament who have their hands in the fracking pot. And if they're fracking, they're making their money. Do you see what I'm saying? So of course they're fine with it. Yeah. So she's also, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It just boils down to, as I've always said and will always say and have said and will always say, if we only knew what goes on with all the world powers,
yeah,
it would be quite the eye opener.
Exactly. And there's that school of thought by the people in power that we shouldn't know. It's better for us not to know. Well, yeah, I think I need to know, see what you're doing behind my back. I need, look, if you're gonna come for me, I need to know where I'm facing. You know which way to look.
Oh my gosh, anymore it ain't even behind your back, it's right in front of your face.
Right, yeah, well, nowadays, yeah. And I just find the whole thing so bizarre. I just think, it's like you peel back a layer, and it's like, oh God, the whole wall fell. What do we do? Like you peel back a little bit of the wallpaper, and then the whole wall falls down. You're like, what now? I mean, I can't change the fact that Candy World, I can't make them pay the taxes. I can't do any of that. But I just, and I'm not I don't know what Candy World situation is. Maybe they're struggling to pay their taxes. Maybe they just simple folk trying to pay their taxes. I'm not doubt that. I just feel like it's, you know, is that just the tip of an iceberg, that there's something, obviously it is, because there's something else. And how long did I read about this story months ago? The original story I read was not by NBC, it was by some like small reporter, well, not small, but some reporter I hadn't heard of, and some news agency I'd never had heard of before. This was months ago. Now NBC picks it up 7 months later. So go back a year or 2 years ago, what was going on? You know what I'm saying? So, but now the spotlight's on them, so I don't know what's going to happen, if they're going to carry on, doing business as Candy World, or maybe change it to Candy Land. Oh, no, it's trademarked probably, so they can't take that one. Candy Town.
Candy Scam.
Candy Scam.
Welcome to Candy Scam.
So it was just an interesting story, which kind of wanted me to talk about, wanted me to lead and talk about the other things that go on, that once they're revealed, are you shocked? And I have to say, this shocked me just because it had to do with candy. I just thought of all the things you could.
Candy.
Why are you picking on candy though? Why are you making candy the bad guy? So, and it just, that was just like, so, and I just found, I don't know why and I told Daniel about this, I found it fascinating that you can, can I go lease a building in a store on Oxford Street and not pay my taxes for months? I mean, I'm just asking for a friend, allegedly. I don't know. I just don't know if I could do that, you could do that, anybody else could do that. But I guess if I paid 40 million pounds for a lease and just leased and then rented it to anybody I wanted, I guess I could get away with it.
Now, I will say this. I don't know how it is over across the pond, but like if you don't pay taxes on your house, it takes a long legal time for the city to take that house back. And it's a big, long, huge, drawn out legal process that takes years to even get the house back.
I had to put that up there. One, apparently. Oops. Yeah, it's
so many things I could go with that, but I'm just stopping myself.
Hey, feel free. Knock yourself out. No. Hey, Christy. Thanks for coming in. We're talking about Candy Scandal.
Candy Scam 2020.
Two.
It may be 2020. You said you didn't know how long this is going on.
Spirit, I agree. That's why I thought it was weird. Candy, real estate, taxes, vapes, fake Wonka bars. I mean, it's like a bad movie. It's like, let's write a movie, Daniel, me and you. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll find this group of people and they'll have us run a scam with candy. It'd be like, what? That's not even a good movie. And that's why I think it was the candy aspect that got me. Like, as soon as I saw the word candy, of course I read it. But I was just like, but like you said, when someone is behind on their taxes in a house, in a personal tax situation, and the person's behind on their taxes, and it takes forever. Imagine that multiplied by 1,000, because now you're talking about a corporation and a company, and then a shell company, and then the actual company who owns it, and then the city of London. You're talking a whole long time. Fake food, lips, hips. Honey, my hips, these hips don't lie. No, just kidding. They real, tell Robert. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying they real. But yeah, so I just find the whole thing bizarre. I cannot wrap my head around it. And that's what, like you're saying, is that, like I said, it's so easy. It takes so long for just an individual to be done by the IRS or the HMRC. Imagine how many years it's going to take to actually get this sorted. 8 million pounds of unpaid taxes along the street, along Oxford Street. I mean, that is a lot of money.
Well, and here's the thing, too. Why is it? I don't know the politics of London at
No,
all.
me neither.
I
Yeah.
don't know the laws of London at all. But why cannot the government change these lease things if it's being proven that they're being used in the wrong way? Why are they not changing the laws to where you cannot do that?
Why?
Lease something for 4,000 years.
Let me tell you why. Because the city of London owns it. Why would, as long as they're getting their money from the leaseholder, everything, this is my alleged, this is my take on it, is I feel like this is how I see it. As long as the city of London is getting paid by the leaseholder, nothing else is their problem. Even though it is their problem, because they're not getting, the city of London's not getting taxes. So, but maybe the taxes don't equate to as much as the leaseholder's paying. I don't know. Maybe if someone's paying 40 million for a lease, 8 million's a drop in the bucket. I don't know. I just find it weird. I fear what is deeper truth. Yes, that's a thing. We don't, and that's, I don't really want to like say that on, I mean, but yes, what is really behind that? And is it uglier? Is it darker? And it is a front. Of course it is. But some experts don't think it's coin cleaning. Some don't think it's that because one, it's in a public place. And I'm like, that's the best place to do it. Hide in plain sight. But and the other reason they don't think it is because the fact that allegedly, there's not enough foot traffic, not enough business going through for money to exchange hands or money to be back and forth. Do you know what I mean? So that's why they're like, well, it doesn't seem like that because there's not enough. Like if it was like we have betting shops here. So we have places where you can go in and place a bet. Okay. So I could go in and place a bet on the football, the soccer game on Saturday. Manchester against Everton. I don't know if they're even in the same league. Don't come for me. I don't know. But let's say I could go into a betting shop and do that here. Now that gets a lot of traffic. There's lots of traffic coming in and out of a betting shop. They're all legal. They're all like legit, as far as I know. So if it was something like that, that would make sense because you're getting a high turnover of money back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. These shops aren't doing that. So, do you know what I'm saying? So there's not like, that's why the experts are like, don't really think it's that because there's not a high volume of money being exchanged. Where if it was like a betting shop or, even like a pound store, you get a high volume of traffic going through. Money's exchanging hands constantly. But this isn't. This is like these stores are empty. You get like a couple of tourists come in, and you may have 3 people in there for the whole day. What? So that's why the whole thing is weird. Like I said, if there was like a high volume of traffic going through, then you'd think, hang on a minute, and you still want to pay your taxes. Then you'd be, but it's so obvious. It's like, obviously there's no foot traffic. There's no people. Yeah, that's visible to the public. You're not seeing, you don't see what's going on in the back room, allegedly. You don't know what's going on behind the scene, but what they're seeing is like if you stood outside of a betting shop, you would see people going in and out all day long. And this isn't happening there. So from like what's visible, there's not a lot of money changing hands on the storefront. Now, what happens behind the scenes, allegedly, I don't know. So, and it's just, I just found it bizarre. I just found it, or online. I mean, hey, they could be running a smashing online business. But they could be selling all kinds of shit online, and it could be a front for so many other bizarre, crazy, horrible things that we couldn't even go into. I wouldn't even want to go into. It could be that. It could be.
Maybe it's just somebody who was bored and they just wanted to open a store.
Right.
Kind of like when you go into an antique store and you see these people's booths and you're like, How are you even making booth rent with what you have in here? I don't understand. Are you just doing this for the fun of it? Maybe it's that.
Someone's not bitter. Someone's not salty about it. Yeah, but it's just bizarre. And I'm sure there's all kinds of, you know, allegedly illegitimate businesses right out in plain sight that you would pass every day and wouldn't even realize. But these are so, I think it's where I think if they were, let me say this. I think if they were on some corner street in, uh, you know, a corner street somewhere in a part of London that wasn't that popular, or it was just like, it wasn't very touristy, I don't think they'd be noticed. But you're Oxford Street. You're like next to, I mean, like there's M&M World down there. Well, M&M World is, well, as far as I know, is legitimate business because it's like licensed. It's got licensing. That's packed. M&M World is like M&M. The M&M shop is packed in London, just like the Lego shop is. But this, not so much. So,
Well, it'll be interesting to see since it's out there if any more comes of it or what they find out.
Well, here's the weird thing. I told Dave about, I was going to do this story last week. I said, yeah, excuse me. And he said to me today, he said, hey, what's that story you're doing about the candy? And I told him, he said, that was on the news today. It just came out on like BBC News. And it's like, finally, everybody, and that's the thing. They're getting all this attention now. It's starting to be reported in, not that where I read it wasn't reputable, but it wasn't a big paper or a big, conglomerate like BBC or NBC. I read it in this little tiny, like online magazine. And now it's like everybody's starting to report on it. So they're hot on the trail and, of this business. So I imagine in the next few months, it'll be shuttered.
Then we'll have to see who the leaser gets in there to rent to next.
Right. I'd like to see the next.
Or if something happens and they get, what I want to know, how can the leaser get out of the lease if it's a 4,000 year lease?
Well, it's not 4,000, it's 2,000.
Well, one of those.
Well, here's the thing. Someone who can, and this is just my guess. I don't know. Again, I'm not an expert. When you're someone who can afford 40 million, you build up quite a portfolio. And when you're showing your portfolio for whatever, for other business ventures or to obtain more money to do something else, you say, look, I'm a leaseholder of a business, of a building in Oxford, on Oxford Street in London. It looks good. And I honestly think that's why these people do it. And because if you were a legitimate businessman, or if you were, I'm not saying they're not legitimate, but wouldn't you then be like, okay, well, I own this building or I've leased it. I've got permission from the City of London to turn it into flats or, housing or whatever and charge, stupid amounts of rent. Wouldn't that be more, that would make you more money than just leasing it, renting it out to whoever.
Well, here's another thought too. So if the leaser, whoever they rent to, is actually a shadow company of theirs and they're not making any money, that's huge tax write-off.
Yep.
Giant tax write-off. If you show losses and all that stuff, you can use all that to help write off your taxes.
100%. And that makes a lot of sense. But then why own it? Then why lease it? I don't understand. Apart from it being in your portfolio, if I was going to lease 40 million and it was a 1,000-year lease or whatever it is, 2,000-year lease, I would be like, right, City of London, I'm going to go ahead and keep the outside structure as it is, but I'm going to internally gut it and make it into apartments, luxury apartments that I can rent for stupid amounts of money, or a luxury hotel, because there would be a constant turnover. So, I mean, yes, it may be a tax write-off, but then why own it?
Because that may,
But would you make more money?
obviously, it's not going to be the only company that they have.
Right. I know,
So
I
if they
appreciate
have
that.
these
Yeah.
other companies that are losing money, that can help write off your taxes on the other stuff you are making money on.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I got you now. I just think that it's such, and I have been there, not to Candy World, but I've been to the Oxford Street and I've seen the building. And it's a beautiful building. And it's a shame that it's just now a haven for allegedly dodgy activity and or tax evasion, because it's such an iconic building. And it's kind of sad that the city of London is like, yeah, we don't care. Like, you should be, and they're all about, oh, London is this. I mean, I live nowhere near London, y'all. I live like in the middle of England. But I can't imagine that the city of London can just, and I'm sure they're, like I said, they're getting their money. They don't care. But at the same time, was that the kind of image you want to portray your city as? Do you want to portray your iconic street of Oxford, which is so old and so steeped in history? That's how you want it to, that's what you want it to look like. That's what that also bothers me. It's like London is so old and so many buildings have survived despite the Great Fire of London, despite, all these things, bombings, that you're going to let one of your most iconic streets and buildings be used for shit. Basically, sorry, but it kind of winds me up. It does. Because it feels like it's a lack of pride of your city. Like it's a lack of, it's like you don't even respect your own city and you live there.
They probably don't even know what's in there.
They will now. BBC reported on it.
Once they get the leaser over there, they're like, okay, well, we've done our job.
Right. No, but the city of London owns the building. So what I'm saying is they should be.
That's what I'm saying. The
Yeah.
city of London's like, well, we've leased it, so unless they're city inspectors can go in and say, hey, this is not up to standard of what we want here.
Right.
I mean, they really can't do that.
If they own the building, they can.
It's according to what's in the lease.
True. That's true. I mean, I'm just like, well, they made the lease. They can change the lease.
Not for 2,000 years.
I just wanted to share this bizarre story with y'all. I just thought it was so strange and so interesting, and such a shame that it's an iconic building that now houses Candy World.
I want to come over to England and go to Candy World now. I want to go see Candy World.
You're going to be doing your investigative reporting in a Candy World.
Are you hiring?
It's a big trek if you live with me. It's about 3 hours. We have an American candy shop that is actually legit in Chesterfield. It's actually owned by a woman who started it and did it through the pandemic, did online, did deliveries, had pickups, and it's actually a legit American candy store. And it's tiny. It's she only owns the one. It's independently owned. It is legit. She has the good stuff in there. And she also has groceries in there too. Like, it's a lot of it's candy, but a lot of it's like grocery stuff. And I do go there to her store because there's stuff I miss. I miss stuff from home. And I will go in there and, get my little goodies and come away. And I know it's going to her. Like, she's a legit business. So I would rather go to her Candy World, which is not called Candy World. But it's a fun little store.
Find out it's her that's behind all of these candy. Stores
Well,
in
I don't.
London.
She doesn't charge $15 for a box of Lucky Charm, or £15 for a box of Lucky Charm. So I'm okay. I think we're good. But it would be amazing if she was. Don't be disparaging my lady, Chesterfield. Allegedly,
She's the head of the whole thing.
I would be so
There in little clay cross.
Chesterfield.
Chesterfield. She's running the whole show in London. Sorry, ma'am. It's just an American joke and we're bad at it.
So I had to share the bizarre candy story with everyone because it was just so strange. I thought, "Ugh, this is weird." And now that it's being reported on everywhere, now everybody's picking up on the story. You're welcome. You know what? Here's the deal, John Robert. The fairy cakes, yeah. Oh, I should send Daniel some fairy cakes.
I don't know what a fairy.
It's a cupcake. It's a
You haven't
cupcake.
sent me fairy cakes. I mean, come on. What's up with that, Dolores?
Oh, because I send you everything else. Jesus. They're like little cupcakes, but they have like a little they have like a little icing thing on top, a little button on top or something. I have to say that if I had to, I do have favorite American items, but British chocolate, hands down the best. Sorry about it. It is so good. It is just so. Oh, Cadbury, stop! It's so good. Love Cadbury, the real Cadbury, not the counterfeit Cadbury. Allegedly. Oh, that was Wonka bars. Never mind.
I'm going to move over there and I'm going to start a candy called Crappy Candy. Tacky Land, full of crappy candy.
All right, guys, we're at the top of the hour almost, and I hope you enjoyed the chat. It's a little different, a little weird, a little kind of out there, but I just found it fascinating. And sometimes the things I find fascinating, I'm going to force you to listen to. So we will see you next week on Daniel's channel, and I'm sure he'll have something just as riveting as dodgy candy.
Well, when I figure it out, I'll let you know.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, and we will see you next week. He gained so much weight. Oh wait, I gained so much weight when I shot the Tesco's for jaggy cakes and jockey cakes. What is that? I don't know what a jockey cake is. I don't know what a fair cake is. What's a jockey cake? Is that the
Jaggy?
I don't know. But yeah, Tesco's.
John Robert was getting jaggy with it.
Oh, Jaffa cakes. Jaffa cakes. I got you. Yes, Jaffa cakes. I know what they are. Mm-hmm. They're orange and chocolate little cookies. They call them Jaffa cakes. Anyway, they're not my jam, but people love them.
He wasn't getting jaggy with it. He was getting Jaffe with it.
Oh, okay. Slowly now. We're not done because I'll jumped on the table.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next week on Daniel's channel. Bye.